Now since we've got this a bit popped out, we'll do our rocker panel switch. Now this kit here, you'll see it actually comes with 2 plugs in the back. Now obviously like this is going to go into one of our panel blanks. That's pretty straightforward. Now your plugs here, you got the power for the quick charge. Now this is a piggyback cord, so you could actually pull the plug out of the back of your cigarette lighter, which is down here, and plug this into, and then plug that back into your cigarette lighter, and it'll be powered off your cigarette lighter. Now the only pain about that is you got to take off the center console area to get to that plug, which is a bit annoying, and I'm not going to do that because it's just as quick for me to to cut one of these plugs off and hook it into our ACC and ground. So that's how I'm going to power it. But you can, if you want to use the plugs, pop the center console up and put it into your cigarette power. Now what you'll do now is, and then the other one just plugs into one of our USBs. That's fairly straightforward. So if you pop your trim tool into here, you'll be able to lever out a blank like so. Blank comes out, and you just want to run your cables through there. So we'll run the USB cable. Again, this is a bit closer, so you should be able to get these without using the screwdriver or anything. So ran our USB out, and that was going to plug into our other USB I left hanging here. So one USB went into the retention for the factory one. The other USB went to the glove box, and this USB has gone to here for our rocker panel. The other wire you just want to run up through is our power one, and I'm going to snip it and just tap it into our power on our harness. I'm just going to use our harness because that way we haven't touched anything on the car side, and the car side's still factory. I'm going to run it through here, hopefully be able to grab it. That one's not too hard. Should be able to grab it with your hands. Leave that hanging out, plug them in. Now these, just make sure you give them a good plug in. Obviously they can only go into the ones they go into, because one's obviously a 2-pin and the other one's a bigger one. But I like to actually get the trim tool and just give it a little push in, because they do sit very flush in there. So again, put this one in, push it through and push it in. Now I'll just tuck this kind of halfway in, because obviously what you want to do is test it like works before you actually push it all the way in, so you can still easily pull it out. So that's there, and now we'll tap into some. Now we don't include one like these in the kits, but we will do in the future, just to make it easier for people who don't want to run it into that cigarette port. Again, you don't even have to power it. All that's going to happen is if you don't power it, you're just not going to get power to the unit. So we've actually got a ground and like an amp connection spare wire here. It's up to you where you cut this. It doesn't really matter, because in here in this braid is just a positive and a negative wire. So if we pull this back a little bit, you can see we got red and black. So red obviously going to ACC, black's going to go to ground like so. All the SPR connector does is actually allows you to bridge extra power off some, but I normally just use blue for ground, red for power. And you can see here I've actually just taken off our amp remote wire and our ground wire. This draws less than an amp, so it's going to be fine. The other option is you can take it, you can use that ground. The ground's always going to be ground, any of our grounds. The other option is ground, and your red wire in here that you can see coming out here that splits into 2 is actually your ACC power. So I've hooked it there for now, up to you. So quick charge is the bottom, audio is the top. Obviously turn the car on and check that this panel around the outside lights up, and that's how you know it's working. So it's basically all that done, so you can push that switch in, clip in these little clips you took off, put the side panel back on, put that trim back on, just clips in, handle goes on in reverse. I normally put a little bit of double-sided stick here and stick this up in the top here. You can work it however you want it to go in, but that's your microphone. So all back together, and you can see the mic out the top here. Just remember, when you tuck this in, you push it in first, and then it clips in. It's sometimes things can be hanging out, just tuck them in. And again, this panel here has to go in and then a clip in.